Your peace is deadly. They thought silence meant surrender. They thought your calm meant weakness. They thought when you stopped explaining, stopped reacting, stopped begging to be understood, that they had won. They were wrong, because what they mistook for emptiness was a weapon. What they called indifference was evolution. What they laughed at was the moment you became dangerous. You didn't scream. You didn't chase. You didn't fight the way they expected you to. You became still, and they never saw that coming. They threw you into chaos, believing the noise would shatter you. They surrounded you with doubt, betrayal, disrespect, convinced that pressure would make you collapse. They watched closely, waiting for your breakdown, your apology, your desperation. They wanted tears. They wanted reactions. They wanted proof that they still had power over you. Because that's how they survive, feeding on your energy, your anger, your need to be seen. But something happened in the dark, something quiet, something irreversible. You didn't break, you adapted. While they were busy celebrating too early, you were learning how to breathe underwater. While they expected you to bleed out, you were learning where to place your pain so it would sharpen you instead of destroy you. They expected chaos. You chose peace, and that choice changed everything. They thought you'd come back asking for closure. They thought you'd need their validation to feel whole again. They thought you'd explain yourself one last time, trying to make them understand the damage they caused, because that's what used to happen. You used to over-explain. You used to carry guilt that wasn't yours. You used to beg for fairness from people who thrived on imbalance. They expected that version of you, but that version died quietly. No announcement. No dramatic exit, just a slow, deliberate shedding of skin. You realize something they never wanted you to realize. You don't need them to understand your pain for it to be real. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their approval to move forward. And when that truth settled in your bones, the ground beneath their feet began to crack. At first, survival was ugly. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't poetic. It was raw, exhausting, lonely. There were nights you stared at the ceiling, replaying every word they said, every betrayal, every moment you let yourself be diminished. There were mornings you woke up heavy, carrying memories like stones in your chest. You questioned yourself. You doubted your worth. You wondered if peace was just another word for avoidance. But even in that confusion, you kept going. You learned how to sit with discomfort without letting it define you. You learned how to feel everything without reacting to everything. You learned how to listen to your inner voice instead of the noise outside. And slowly, the fire changed. It stopped burning you. It started forging you. What once felt like destruction became discipline. What once felt like loss became clarity. You didn't become cold. You became precise. They didn't notice at first. They were too busy living off old versions of you. Too busy assuming you were still reachable, still triggered, still waiting. But then the responses stopped coming. No arguments, no explanations, no emotional availability on demand, just distance, just calm, just you, unbothered. And that's when confusion set in. They wondered why their words no longer landed, why their presence no longer shifted your mood, why the chaos they created no longer pulled you back into the storm. Did they really think you'd stay broken forever? Did they really believe your pain was permanent? They underestimated what happens when someone chooses peace not as escape, but as strategy. Your peace became a mirror. In it, they saw their own instability, their own need for control, their own fear of being irrelevant. Because when you stop reacting, manipulators panic. When you stop explaining, liars get exposed. When you stop chasing, the illusion of their importance collapses. They tried to provoke you. They tried to remind you of who you used to be. They tried to pull you back into emotional wars you had already won. But you didn't move. You stood there, grounded, composed, untouchable, and that terrified them. This is where the power shifted. Not when you proved them wrong, not when you confronted them, but when you no longer needed the outcome. You stopped measuring your worth by their behavior. You stopped waiting for justice to look the way you imagined it should. You stopped trying to control how they perceived you. You let go. And in that release, you gained everything. Your peace became heavy, dense, unavoidable. It filled rooms without you saying a word. It spoke louder than anger ever could. They felt it. Even when you weren't there, every step forward became a quiet victory. You rebuilt your routines, you guarded your energy, you chose who deserved access to your inner world. Not everyone made the cut, and that wasn't cruelty, that was self-respect. You realized that peace isn't passive, it's disciplined, it requires boundaries, it demands honesty, it refuses chaos disguised as connection. You stopped romanticizing struggle, you stopped confusing intensity with depth, you stopped calling disrespect love just because it felt familiar. And as you rose, something strange happened. They stayed exactly where they were, still angry, still blaming, still replaying the same stories where they were always the victim. While you were evolving, they were stagnant. While you were mastering yourself, they were still trying to control others. And that contrast, it spoke volumes. You didn't need revenge. You didn't need to prove anything. Your growth did it for you. This is the part they never prepared for. They thought if they ignored you, you'd fade. They thought if they criticized you, you'd shrink. They thought if they walked away, you'd collapse. Instead, you expanded. Your presence became calm but commanding. Your silence became intentional. Your smile, rare, genuine, earned. You didn't glow loudly. You radiated quietly, like fire beneath the surface, like a storm that no longer needs thunder to be feared. Your peace wasn't empty. It was loaded. And here's the truth they'll never admit. They miss the version of you they could manipulate. They miss the access. They miss the reactions. They don't miss you. They miss the power they had over you. But that power is gone because you learned the most dangerous lesson of all. Nothing scares insecure people more than someone who is whole without them. You walk differently now, not rushed, not defensive, not seeking. You choose where to invest your energy like a king chooses battles. Rarely, intentionally, without emotion. You don't announce your moves. You don't explain your boundaries. You don't negotiate your self-worth. And when they see you now, there's something in their eyes. Regret, confusion, a question they're afraid to ask. How did they become this? They'll never understand that it wasn't one moment. It was 1,000 quiet decisions. To stop engaging, to stop absorbing, to stop betraying yourself just to keep peace with others. Your peace became deadly because it removed you from their control. It made you unpredictable, untouchable, unavailable for manipulation. You don't argue with chaos anymore. You outgrow it. And growth is the loudest response. Now you stand here, not hardened, but refined, not bitter, but clear, not angry, but powerful. You don't carry the past like a wound. You carry it like wisdom. You don't look back hoping they'll notice. You look forward knowing you're free. And if they ever wonder why you don't react anymore, why you don't engage, why you don't fight, let them wonder. Because the truth is simple. You didn't lose your voice. You mastered your silence and your peace. Your peace is deadly, not because it destroys others, but because it finally saved you.